So here is a 5-step tutorial to get out of spam in 2025. And this is the only guide you will need to get your emails out of spam. And if you do exactly as I say, you should be out of spam in the next 4 to 6 weeks, guaranteed. But before we get into how to get our emails out of spam, how do we know that our emails are actually landing in spam? Now, the most obvious indicator of this are your open rates. If you have ridiculously low open rates, let's say under 15%, your emails are most likely in spam. And the other thing that you can do if you use Klaviyo is to see your deliverability score. You can find this under analytics, deliverability on your dashboard. And basically, this is a score given to your account between 0 to 100. And this is what it means. If your score is between good or excellent, you don't need to watch this video. Your deliverability is good. Just follow the steps on the action center and you'll be good. But if your score is lower than that, let me show you how you can get out of spam and fix this. I guarantee if you follow all these 5 steps, you will achieve a score of good or excellent in the next 4 to 6 weeks. And the key here is step number 5, which is our secret ingredient. Now, let's start with step number 1, Google and Yahoo's sender requirements. Now, so Google and Yahoo basically came up with a bunch of requirements that you need to be in compliance with if you send bulk emails. So they might look complicated, but they're really simple. And let me show you how to get it done. The first step is to remove at Gmail from your from address. This basically means that you cannot send emails from an email address that looks like this: john@gmail.com or mark@gymshark.com. You need to send emails from your own domain, like mark@gymshark.com or john@wwe.com. So basically a professional email address that looks like a name or something followed by your domain name. So how do you do that? First of all, open Klaviyo, go to settings, accounts, organization, and find something called as your default sender email address and change this to a professional email address. If you're already compliant, well and good, but if you're not, change it to a professional email address and you're done. It's that simple. So the next step is basically setting up a dedicated sending domain. This basically means that you cannot have this thing via ksd3.claviomail.com when people receive your emails. It means that you don't have a dedicated sending domain and you're using Klaviyo's shared domain, and you don't want that. So how do you set up a dedicated sending domain? I'm not going to show you how to do this because there's already an excellent video tutorial by the Klaviyo team. So you can just go ahead and watch that. The link is in this document and you can find this document in the description of this video. So after you're done with this step, you should notice that this part has disappeared completely from your emails, and that means you have a dedicated sending domain. Now, the next step is to set up your DMARC policy. If you followed this video, this should already be done. But for some reason, if you don't have a DMARC policy yet, here you go. So basically what you need to do is log into your DNS provider, which is the place where you bought your domain from. It could be GoDaddy, Cloudflare, Namecheap, or wherever your domain is registered, and add a DMARC record. Find DNS settings or DNS management section in your DNS provider and add a new TXT record with all of these details. Just make sure to replace this part with your professional email address. Now, if you want to know what all of this means, you can just read through this. By the way, Klaviyo recommends that you have a dedicated email to collect your DMARC reports. So basically, once you complete this step, there's something called DMARC reports which you get, and it's really not something that you need to go through every day, that you need to monitor, but it's something that is good to have. So you can set up a dedicated email for this or not. It doesn't affect your deliverability at all. So the next step is to align your from address with your branded domain. So let's understand a few technical terms before we get to this next part. So from email address, this is basically the address that people see when you send them an email like mark@gymshark.com. And next is your domain name. So this is basically the name of your website. uh, if your website is gymshark.com, that is your domain name. So the next is your subdomain. This is basically a smaller part of your domain name. For example, if your domain name is gymshark.com, you could have a subdomain called send.gymshark.com, and it's used for specific purposes like sending emails or something else. I don't know what people people use it for other than sending emails, but here's what you need to know. Your from email address should match your main domain name to look professional and to follow email rules. For example, if your sending email setup uses a subdomain, that is send.gymshark.com, your from email address should be something like hello at gymshark.com and not info at send.gymshark.com. Basically, uh, don't use an email address that uses your subdomain. Now, don't use the subdomain like send.gymshark.com in your from address because it's not set up to get replies. Instead, use the main domain gymshark.com. Before you send emails, double check that all your from email addresses match the main domain. Now, this might sound a little complicated, but let me break this down. So basically, if you use a subdomain that is send.gymshark.com, this is just an example. You could have a subdomain with a different name and obviously your website or a different website. So if you use a subdomain, for example, send.gymshark.com to send your emails, make sure that your from address is still from your main domain. For example, mark@gymshark.com and not from your subdomain mark@send.gymshark.com. So this is what this step basically means. So now the last two steps are not really steps, but more of best practices, which you should already be following. So the next step is to make it easy to unsubscribe. One of the new sender requirements is that every email must include a one-click unsubscribe link that looks something like this. Now, if you use Klaviyo or any other popular email sending provider, this is already taken care of. And if your email sending provider doesn't have this, what are you doing? It's time to migrate to another email sending provider. Now, the next step is to keep spam complaints low. Low spam complaints are a key way to show inbox providers that you're a legitimate sender who follows email deliverability practices. And it basically means that you're not someone who sends spam email. This setup that you did right now is basically a foundation for a strong email backend, which enables you to send bulk emails. But despite doing all of this, your emails could still land in the spam box for a variety of reasons. So the next step to fixing your deliverability is what I call the pop-up trick. Now, the pop-up trick is something that I discovered when I was working for my first ever client. So I had no email marketing experience before, and so I approached this client and I told him that I would work for him for free, and only when he started seeing some results would we talk about paying me a salary or whatever. So I set up all their flows, and I noticed that they had less than 10% open rates, and this was a blunder. I just thought to myself, how can I suck so bad that I did this and I'm having less than 10% open rates, because I at least expected some decent results, right? I was confident I could get them decent results, and the open rates were less than 10%, and I was really shocked. So I did everything, applied all the best practices, but nothing fixed it until one day I was on Twitter and I opted into a pop-up of someone else, and I saw that they didn't give me the discount code right away. So generally, this is what pop-ups are like. You fill up your information, you take the customer's name and email address, and then you give them a code uh, to reward them for their information. Now, this guy did something different. So instead of giving me the discount code right away, they made me open their email, and this is what the pop-up said. Please check your email for the discount code. If you don't find it, rescue it from your spam or promotions folder because we'll never spam you. Something clicked in my brain, and I realized this trick was how I could get out of spam. Here's why this works, right? The customer must open their email for the discount, and this will boost your open rates. If your email was in spam for some reason, the customer would have to literally remove it from spam. And that means all your future emails to this customer would land in their inbox and not in their spam folder. And when the customer does this action of removing your email from the spam and dragging it to their inbox, this is a signal to the email platforms like Gmail, Outlook, and Yahoo that these your emails are not spam. So after applying this trick, our open rates literally went from 7 to 8% to 60 to 70%. I guarantee this will work for you too. So this one trick will work wonders to fix your deliverability, but this trick does lead to inflated revenue attribution inside of Klaviyo because the credit of the sale is given to your welcome email, but in reality, some of these guys would have bought even without ever seeing your welcome email if you would have just given them the discount code. So just keep that in mind. You could choose not to do this after your deliverability is fixed. But if your deliverability sucks, I 100% recommend that you do this. So the next step is to send only to the engaged segment. An engaged segment is basically people who have opened your emails before. This is what it looks like on Klaviyo. And what we want to do is create 30, 60, 90, or all time engaged segments and send only to these guys for a while. So basically, here's what 30, 60, 90 or all-time engaged segments mean. So people who have opened your emails in the last 30, 60, 90 or over all time is basically your engaged segment. Now, based on your list size in each segment, that is, if you have very few people on your 30-day engaged segment, check your 60-day engaged segment. And if your list is still very small, use the 90-day engaged segment or higher days. And we want a sizable list that we can send emails to improve our deliverability and get our email metrics up so that we signal to inbox providers like Gmail or Hotmail that our emails are not spam and people actually open our emails and engage with our emails. So what should your list size be? There's no fixed rule, but it's good to start small. For example, if you have 10,000 active profiles, you could start with 1,000 or 2,000 size list. And you can adjust this number based on your list size. So if you have 100,000 active profiles, you could start with 5,000 or 4,000. It's best to start small and observe your open rates before ramping them up. So if your open rates are above 40% with a smaller engaged segment, you can slightly increase the list size and move to 60, 90 or all-time engaged segments based on your list size. Now, as a general rule of thumb, if your emails are landing in spam or not, all your regular emails should generally only go to your engaged subscribers because sending to your entire list only gets you bad deliverability and increases your costs. So when should you actually send to the entire list? You could say that you have 100,000 people and I'm asking you only to send to your engaged segment, which could be just 30,000 or 40,000 people. Now, the only time that we recommend sending to your entire list is during peak season or during times when the buying intent is really, really high, like Black Friday. And apart from these seasons, don't send to your entire list because that is only going to give you deliverability issues and increase your marketing costs because these people are not going to buy. And even if out of 100,000 of your unengaged subscribers, even if one person purchases for some reason, that is still not worth the bad deliverability and the damage that does to your domain reputation. So apart from peak seasons, don't send your entire list and just send your engaged list. Now, the next step is warming up your domain. Now, most brands that are new to email marketing end up in spam because they haven't warmed up their domain. If you have a cold domain or a brand new domain that's never sent emails, or you just move to a different email sending provider, for example, you were on MailChimp before and now you moved to Klaviyo, you need to warm up your domains. This is what it means. Since you have a new domain, if you send, let's say, 10,000 emails out of nowhere, that seems suspicious to Gmail, Yahoo, and other sending providers because you've never done that before and it's not something that's normal for you. So they mark you as spam And to prevent this, instead of sending 10,000 emails on your first day, we send maybe 1,000 emails, and then let's say 1,500. And then as the days go on, we slowly ramp up the volume of your emails and then eventually reach 10,000 users. This process of ramping up your emails is called warming up your domain. And this is absolutely essential so you don't land in spam. And to take it a step further, all of these contacts that we send to come from our engaged list. Now, let's say if you're a new brand, you have no past data and you cannot build engaged lists because you've never sent emails before. So you don't have data of people who have opened your emails or clicked on your emails. So what do you do? What you do is follow this guide from Klaviyo, which shows you how to warm up without past data. So what now if you have past data and you are a brand that has sent emails before and has some past data of email opens and clicks, you can follow this complete guide from Klaviyo. It gives you detailed information on how you can warm up your domain. Now, the last and final secret ingredient, our step 5, is there is no secret ingredient. All you have to do is follow step 1 to step 4 for the next 4 to 6 weeks, and you will be out of spam guaranteed unless you do something wrong. So if you follow everything that I said in this video and follow all the steps, you will have more number of people opening your emails. Your revenue from email marketing will improve significantly. And since your deliverability issue is solved, you can now scale your email marketing channel and focus on other things like list growth or running ads to get more people involved in your email marketing. Now, if you want to scale your email and SMS marketing, and if all of this seems complicated and you're tired of trial and error and want a team of experts who can get you out of spam and get your e-commerce business mind-blowing results with email and SMS marketing, go ahead and book a free discovery call with us, and we'll help you get out of spam. We'll scale your email and SMS marketing channels so you get some fantastic results and you don't have to worry about any of this. It'll be done for you, and all you have to do is enjoy the revenue that we make you. So with that being said, guys, that's the end of this video. I hope you found this valuable, and I promise you, I genuinely guarantee you that if you follow this on all of these 5 steps, you will be out of spam. There is no way you follow everything and you don't get out of spam and you don't see results. So this is genuinely some really, really valuable content that I've put out, and make sure to follow it. And if you like the video, drop a like and comment what you thought. If you have any questions, you can comment those as well, and I'll answer them. And yeah, follow me for more e-commerce email marketing tips. And thanks for watching.